All right, I'll call the October 9th special meeting of the Water District in order. Is that the record on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You're good.
Want me to start over?
Please.
Okay, I'll call the special meeting of the October 9th Water District to order. Would you please take roll?
Jim Zarnik,
Here.
Joan McInerney,
Here.
Ken Gambala,
Here.
Wayne Pondinas,
Present.
Joe Wizawati.
Present.
All right. We have a number of items to consider tonight. And the first one on the list is the change order for West 93rd Avenue project, which I believe involves Kyleman. Who wants to explain that?
Yeah, Evan Lavallee is here from First Group. He can kind of go through some of the change order items that are discussed here for the Kyleman work. So, Evan.
So this was nothing more than the original stuff that I had been talking about the board last time I was in front of you. Public Works reached out to me a few weeks ago, and they were worried about the integrity of the existing main running down Kyleman. The quantity's in front of you for about 500 feet of that replacement main. The design was already done. There was 2 water breaks this summer, one being outside our project limits. The valve in School Street is bad, so Public Works asked if we could try to get this in here this year. We asked the contractor if they wanted to participate in that, and that's where we're at with this. So it's about 500 foot of main, and I believe it's 9 new houses to be added. And we'll be putting a new valve down at School Street, which, like I said, was a bad valve. It doesn't completely get closed, so we'll replace that as well.
Yeah, this was intended as part of the original contract.
Yeah, this is all
price.
the original design, but
Pulled out because of cost originally, so that's kind of where we're at today with it. But it just makes sense because of it's really not a huge amount for the water main project to extend that and replace the valve at School Street, if I'm not mistaken as well, so.
Go all the way down to the intersection then?
yeah, all the way down to the intersection at school, yep. So we'll be running down the west side underneath the sidewalk. We're going to replace a couple of the drives, which temporary patch them in until the project for the actual roadway construction can be done next year. So we're just going to stone the sidewalk portion of everything, but we'll put back temporary asphalt for the driveways so that Public Works doesn't have too much of a headache with any rutting out stone or anything like that.
Yeah, I think Beth, as far as when we had our meeting, that we kind of agreed to have this come out of the bond money as well. So, there's funding for it in place, so we can get this work done immediately. So that way there's no delay in getting this done.
Right.
And to Evan's point, if there's water main breaks that are already occurring on this, this gets rid of the old C900
Yeah,
that's not
ductile.
C- ductile,
The
that's
ductal,
the
it gives
ductal.
us the C900. I'm sorry.
We're getting breaks in the summertime.
It's not C900.
It's the old
C900
ductile,
is
yeah.
plastic.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
ductile. That's
We're
the
replacing
iron.
it with the C900.
That's part of the original tower.
And yeah, it's a 12-inch main, and it is brittle.
Yeah.
And better to tear up, the main's going underneath the sidewalk, so better off to have that problem during the winter. How many people shovel their walk are gonna be walking on it? In springtime, it'll all be settled, and then they can put the sidewalk in, the curb, they'll regrind the street, what's left, they go all the way to School Street. It'll get done quicker probably, rather than have to drag out another part of the year. The residents have been nice on 93rd with the construction, so why make a bigger mess later on next year when a lot of the mess will get done this year? And they just have to grind the street and put the curb in the sidewalk.
Is there curb going in on Kyleman?
That's
So
that's the plan.
the
yeah.
first currently in the contract is the first 300 feet, enough to get our turn lanes in. Then we'll do a temporary tie into the existing condition. And then the road project that will go out to bid, which I hear we're going to be putting out to bid this winter, will take care of the rest of the 500 feet, all the way down to School Street.
Yeah. And so we're looking to get approval from the Waterworks Board tonight on the change order, since this involves the bond money, so that way we can move forward on it. Also, this requires the town council's action because the town council was the one that authorized the agreement on the work for 93rd.
So what are we're for a motion just to approve the change order?
That's it. Yeah.
So this is change order 3, Evan?
Yeah, so technically, for the water main budget, it is the first change order, but because of the contractors, they only have one funding, or one project on their side of things. to keep everything transparent for the clerk's office and for the contractor, this is technically change order 3 on the contract, which is why the town council has to approve it, but it is change order 1 for the water budget.
So how do I make the motion?
Motion to approve change order, West 93rd project.
I don't state a number, it's all good.
You could say change order number 3. Yeah.
Change order 3.
Yeah.
I as best as I can. I'll make a motion that we, for approval of change order number 3 for the additional water main under the FH Passion contract, that's currently ongoing.
Second it.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried 3-0.
Thank you.
Oh, I thought that's what he was looking for. Okay.
If it goes over or under.
All right.
I was just looking for the change order number, 1 or 3.
It says 1 on the paper.
I know, that's why I was confused.
Once they had me kind of clean this up, I stumbled upon that early on.
Okay. Second item is consider request to purchase for water surplus for the gates of $127,315.38 bond. Who wants to take that, Joe? or
So, yeah,
Rev?
we've kind of got, and I'm going to ask Tom to kind of jump in on these as well. So we have two RTPs before you tonight. One's for the gates, one's for the Monex treatment facility. These are for the media change out for both of those. One is being considered for the bond because it definitely qualifies and meets the requirements for that. The other one is intended for the utility cost. Both of them are identical in price because they're identical size projects for the media change out. And then the next item, obviously, motion to authorize Robinson to create the advertisement for the RFP would be for the contractual folks to come in and put the bid together for those changeouts. So one's for the actual cost for the media, the other is for the contractor to perform those specific duties. And those would be, Tom, I'm assuming that both of those for the RFP would be broken down for Monex and for Gates, just for the purposes of cost and segregating that.
Yes, they will be. But can I add one more thing? The reason
Go
it's
ahead.
going in this segmented portion is that it's the timing. The media takes longer to get, and we didn't want to have a contractor, get the contractor awarded to a contractor, then have them get the media. The town is going to pre-purchase the media for it. It's going to expedite it. It's going to allow us to do this work over the winter months. And the key is that we're going to do one filter at one plant, and when that one's down, we're always going to have the other filter to operate that plant. Then we're going to jump over to the next plant. So we start at Monex first, do filter 1, go to the gates, do filter 1, come back and do Monex filter 2, and then do the gates filter 2. And this way we anticipate it'll be done before the spring of 2024, which was the goal at all times on it.
Are we advertising for the media and then we're advertising for the installation?
The media is a direct purchase. The installation is what the contractors could be doing.
That's the
That's the
Bidding- bid
installation
process.
of the media.
Yeah, we anticipate the cost of that to exceed
gotta keep hitting
$150,000.
different vibrations on this.
Yeah.
From Public Works. The media, we can just order, or we have to go out for bids?
Your plan is just to order and do a direct purchase with water surplus on the media only. On the installation of meter, that's a contractual service that we have mechanical contractors, well house contractors,
That's the
filter
one that's
contractors
over
can do it, right?
150,000 that we have to go out for bids on.
That's
Yes, sir.
Installation. Okay, the only other concern was, I got from Public Works was, once we order the media, we're stuck with it. It's ours.
That's right.
There shouldn't be any difficulty then with installation of costs and everything that's gonna
Well,
hold all this up.
That's what's going to, the only thing would be is the installation.
So
But the
we-
cost is what it is because that, we're going to pay for it, we own it, the day we order it.
Right, but this is what we've been working towards all along,
I know,
right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that once we order the media, it's ours, so
Yep,
that's why.
it's your baby.
There's no going back, so.
That's right.
But we do have to empty those tanks. They did a core sample. With the core sample, we're lucky because the media in there is at the end of its life. It doesn't have a whole lot longer to go. So we lucked out on that. And then with the Oxy 12 that we're going to use, that'll help treat the water that's coming out of wells 8 and 9 because of the sulfur content. And they call it Oxy 12 because it's got chlorine in it already, and the little beads, so and we're gonna go from what, Tom, from 3.5 to 4 gallons a minute to 6 gallons a minute.
Yes, sir. It's about
And
double.
we've got items, approval on it, they gave us their blessing, both verbally and with a letter. So it took a while to get going, but, the price of the media is gonna go up at the end of the year, so we can store it in our buildings if we have to.
May I add one more thing about the delivery? We talked to the supplier, they could stagger the deliveries to a point where we could get as much as we need at a certain time than later on it. But there'll be one point where we may have to store it. It can't be stored outside, it's gonna be stored indoors. We just don't wanna double handle it. I mean, the only place it's stored indoors right now, I'd say, is Public Works garage on it. We really don't have a lot of space in these filter rooms. So, but we are working with them, and they said they would work with us also.
So Tom, in the water surplus in the study that you had given us, the pilot study results, it talked about that the flow rate, like it was basis, the test was at 3.41 gallons per minute, but that it should translate up to a 6.3 gallons per. Are there any concerns about like translation from what we saw in the pilot test to
Well, that's an excellent point.
the actual?
So the reason we want to go water surplus, we use the water surplus media in the pilot study. And so we have the same study, the same media we used in the pilot study, we're going to use in the real world. So that's why, I don't think there's going to be a concern about it, to be honest with you.
So there's no issue, I mean, I know we're using the same media, but we don't think that the results that we saw in the pilot study are translatable and scale-upable to the level of what we need to be doing?
I-
We don't see any issues with that?
I do not see any issues with that. And that's the reason a pilot study was done, instead of just based on a theoretical operation of it. We actually went out in the field and actually did the studies, so.
Okay. How are we gonna handle the motions here? We got, first one, according to purchase water surplus, $127,315. Is that a motion? Separate?
I would do them separate.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the request to purchase for water surplus for the, for the Gates treatment plant in the amount of $127,315.38.
Do we have to say it's coming out of the bond
How
money?
come we got a bond?
Coming out of the bond funds.
I'll second that motion.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor signify by aye.
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 3-0 passed. All right. So, we have the same thing for the Monix plant, right? Same motion, except different plant.
Isn't it a recommendation? to
Yeah.
the Town council to approve, right?
That's
Yeah,
correct, because this will go to the town
Motion
council.
recommendation.
I'll make a motion for recommendation of the request to purchase to the town council to approve a request to purchase the media from water surplus for the Monix treatment plant in the amount of $127,315.38. And do I say this is coming out of the utility fund? Coming out of the utility.
Not necessary, but yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm still terrible.
You don't need it anymore.
It's not necessary, yeah.
I'll support that favorable recommendation.
I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 carried. All right, finally, the last one is motion to authorize Robinson Engineering to prepare and advertise for requests for proposals for media change-out at the Gates and Monix. This is the actual installation that we're going to advertise for and get bids. So we're just approving the advertisement.
Is this an agreement?
No.
No?
This is just a motion to authorize them to prepare the RFP.
Okay. But Robinson's putting together the RFP, right?
Correct.
And it's
Yeah,
paid-
Robinson's putting a bid package together, that's what.
So paid for out of what?
Bond and utility.
Okay,
Same thing, same spread.
okay. But coming out of like miscellaneous engineering, or what do we, just what's the vehicle for the engineering services?
We've been working off is the regional treatment plant number still on it. And
Okay.
that's where it's been coming out of so far, Jim.
So that's the lump sum.
No, it's gonna be billed in time material because the scope completely changed.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
then that's great.
okay.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
I will make a motion to authorize Robinson Engineering prepare and advertise for requests for proposals for needed change out of the Gates and Monix treatment plants.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. 3-0 carried. There's nothing else on the agenda. It's a special meeting. No. I still have to have any public comment? No public comment. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.